And we're live, apparently.
Hello, everyone. Wait for it to register. There it go. It registers on me as well.
Yay. Alright.
So, welcome everybody to our... What?
No, talking to myself.
Apparently he wants us to ignore him then.
No, I said I hit the wrong button. That's not the right eraser. God, I am all over the place today. Anyways, continue.
So this is our 7th Children of Anima character showcase live stream, and you'd think by now we'd have things figured out, but we really don't.
I didn't even
I'm
started
Charlie
drawing
Wolf.
on the sketch line.
Apparently Ty is having a day, so...
I'm not awake. I'm a sleepy boy.
That's okay. He'll get it figured out as we go along. So the one drawing is Ty Lane. He's the artist and co-writer of Children of Anima. Say hi.
Hello, people.
And I'm Charlie Wolf, co-writer. And with how tired he is, I suppose it's a good thing I do most of the talking.
I love you.
For those of you just joining us on our adventure, this live stream series has been showcasing a different character every week. Each one has been holding a different LGBTQ flag to show where they stand in the rainbow. We're talking about the character in question, their past, their interests, the inspirations behind them, and what we're most excited about for them. We've also been answering viewer questions, so if you've got one, we'd love to hear from you. In the past weeks, we've done several wolf shifters and a couple of crow shifters. Today is our 3rd crow shifter to be shown. Today we'll be drawing Cormac, which you might know if you've seen the event on Facebook. He's one of our younger characters, and unfortunately he won't be making an appearance for a while because plot-wise we just couldn't fit him in. But his gender identity kind of guaranteed him a place in our showcase. If you haven't read the prologue for Children of Anima yet, we strongly encourage you to do so. The link to it and a good portion of Chapter 1 is listed in the description below, so check it out after the live stream. You'll also find links to our Facebook page where you can stay caught up with all of our news and information, our Twitter, and our Instagram, and I believe there are links to our parent company, Little Red Productions, as well.
Yes.
Is this correct? Yes.
Yes.
Cool. So with that, let's move on to the interesting stuff and the reason you're all actually here. So Cormac, who is in the picture above, is 13 years old at the start of the Children of Anima comic. Not when he'll make an appearance, but as we start, he is 13 years old. Like all crows, he has black hair and black eyes, and he stands a little tall for his age, at about 5'4". So that's standard for crows, though. So, before we continue, I would like to say that if anyone is having trouble hearing either me or Ty, to let us know. If you're hearing any echoing or reverberation, or if any of us become robotic, also let us know. We can fix that. But unless you tell us, we won't know we need to fix it.
Also, if one of us is louder than the other, or if the music is louder than us, or anything like that, please let me know so I can fix it.
Let's see. Cormac is pretty much a quiet kid for the most part. Like, when he's allowed to be, he's a fairly quiet kid, though when expectations require it of him, he can be rather loud and domineering. Hello, Michael. It's good that we sound good. Thank you. Um, let's see. Cormac has no tattoos or piercings, although he is considering a pair for his ears if he can talk his father around. Ty, apparently you're a little quieter than normal, but you are still audible.
Okay.
Let's see. As he is 13, he obviously doesn't have a job. He is a student, which he attends when his father keeps them in one place long enough to do so. Although when he does attend, he is a fairly diligent student. He likes studying. On the subject of ages, how is the passage of time in the comic going to correspond to the passage of time for the readers? It's not going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. It isn't. We will keep the readers updated as to what time it is, and we'll like give passing references in the comic itself so that people know what time of year it is and what the year actually is. But for those of you who have been reading up until now, we're about a month into our release, and we're still on basically day 1
Yup.
of the comic. So we will make sure that people know what time of year it is and what the passage of time is, but it's not going to be a 1-to-1 correlation. Let's see. Cormac is considered the Corbeau heir because he is his father's son, and his father is the Corbeau of the murder. For those of you who joined us last week, you know what that is, but for those of you who didn't, the Corbeau is the leader of a murder, which is a group of crows. The Corbeau heir is the person who is supposed to take over when the Corbeau dies or retires or what have you. Some of my favorite comics have taken several months to cover a single day while still having holiday comics. So you're well familiar with the knowledge that it's not usually a 1-to-1 as it's coming out. So yeah, I don't know if we'll have any holiday comics that come out.
Maybe like some little like couple panel little shorts or something, but nothing too big, I don't think. Because it will also depend on our schedules and everything. Because as we go on, our schedules are going to be a bit tighter.
Yeah. And Ty is drawing this thing all by himself. So yeah. We'll get more into the murder dynamics towards the end of the live stream after we've covered everything about Cormac. So if you're not quite sure what all that's about, we will get around to it and explain how things work with the murder. So stick around for that. Let's see. Cormac's family. As I just mentioned, his father is the Corbeau, the leader of the murder. Basically, think of him like the alpha of a wolf pack, except for crows. There's his mother, who is the Corbeau mate. Basically, she's his wife. He has an older brother, Apollo, who you'll know about if you tuned in last week. And if you haven't, that's okay. You can go back and watch later if you're interested. He's also got a younger sister by the name of Jay, who is 3 years old, and he has an uncle. But they're not too important at the moment, so we're not going to get too deep into that. Let's see. His history isn't that different from Apollo's, except that he's actually had his father's approval for his whole life. For those of you who weren't here last week, they come from a very traditional murder. The male head of the leader, basically. Everyone follows. They're very insular, and they are very quick to exact vengeance on those who have wronged them or hurt them or what have you. Cormac's pack, Cormac and Apollo's pack, have moved more than others that they've known, but that's for reasons only their father knows. Though they do know it has something to do with someone who wronged him years ago, and he's apparently been trying to find this person. But he doesn't really go into details beyond that. So, Cormac has been training to succeed his father ever since he can remember, really.
Secede.
Though that's not completely common. Something, Ty?
I said secede. Secede his father.
Okay, he really wants to secede from his father.
Okay, but that just reminded me of high school, so yeah.
But yeah, no, he's been training to succeed, as in take over from his father. Which isn't completely standard even with a murder, but again, we'll get into all of that a little later. So Cormac is gender fluid, which basically means that none of the genders really fit him completely. He can, one day he'll feel more feminine, another more masculine, and another he can feel very non-binary. But he didn't really know this. That's what this was at first. He just knew that it was, some days he didn't feel quite right. He tried on a dress for the first time when he was 9 years old. It was from one of the girls about his age in the murder. They're no longer part of the murder anymore. And they were playing dress up at the party and all of that, and he put on a dress, and I don't know, he quite liked it, and it felt more comfortable than his normal clothes that day. It wasn't something he ever admitted to his father. That he didn't tell his father that he even put on the dress, or anyone else really. But it was something that he wanted to do again, and would occasionally do when he knew that no one would or could see him. And after seeing his father's reaction to Apollo, he is more certain than ever that he will keep this a secret forever. Or rather, that was his idea, until Apollo walked in on him one day about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, I would say about that.
And Apollo saw him dressing up. There was a long conversation about gender between them, and that helped them both realize that Cormac wasn't trans. He didn't think that he was a girl trapped in a boy's body. He didn't hate the parts he was born with. He just also sometimes felt more like a girl than a boy. After some in-depth research on Apollo's part, they found a name for what he was, which, as many people who have gone through something like this know, it helped with that "I'm not alone" thing. But after that, Apollo began helping him hide it from their father, and would occasionally buy him clothing that he could wear when he was hidden away from their father's rather piercing gaze, so that he wouldn't have to worry with what Apollo had gone through when he tried to come out as non-binary. And that's kind of how they've been living for the last couple of years. Hiding things from their father, who they know would not accept them, and could possibly evict them from the murder if they tried to come out to him. In case you haven't realized, their father is not a healthy parent to be around. So that's something to keep in mind when continuing the comic and when seeing him for the first time. Let's see. His relationship to the others in the murder. He's closest to Apollo and Jay, their little sister, although Jay obviously prefers Apollo to anyone else. Cormac has an odd relationship with his father. He respects him, but he also knows that his father would not accept him. He also knows that showing any weakness in front of his father would be a very bad thing. And also just trying to seek affection from the man is not something to be done. He is not an affectionate man, and he sees it as something, as the needing of it as something of a weakness. So Cormac, I suppose you could say Cormac both respects and fears his father, and not in a healthy way. His mother is a strong, stern woman who also dislikes weakness in anyone, especially her own children. Her kids have learned how to be strong because she would accept nothing else from them. She is also where they've learned to suppress their emotions when around anyone else. Oh, excuse me. So again, not the best person to be raising a child of an LGBTQ.
Not the best person to be raising a child. That's all you have to say, honestly.
That's fair. That's fair.
Their parents are pretty abusive.
They are. And they match each other really well, but that's not good in this kind of situation. A side note, this picture of Cormac, like Apollo's from last week, is basically set in the future when he is more comfortable with who he is and able to express that safely. He does not dress this way anywhere his father can see him, and he certainly wouldn't be doing this if he thought his father might see it at all. This is set sometime in the future. And we think he's adorable.
Yes.
I may be using the he pronoun strictly, but Cormac does go by he, she, they when he's allowed to. Sorry, drinking. So their gender, their pronoun would be whatever they're more feeling like that day. One of the really sad things is you have a lot of abusive parents who get a lot of support and approval from similarly abusive parents who have come to see that type of abuse as normal. That is a very sad thing, yeah. What's worse is that a lot of the kids who grew up under that just think it's normal, and that they think there's something wrong with them because of the way their parents are treating them, which is certainly something that Cormac and Apollo have both internalized. And it's going to take a lot for them to come around to the idea that it isn't necessarily the way they should be treated. Thanks, Michael. Yeah. But they will come around eventually with the proper care and help. They will eventually come around to the idea that they deserve better. But again, that's a little in the future, even from when they first show up. So, but it does happen. So look forward to that. Let's see. But yeah, their parents are definitely abusive, and we make no excuses for them, except to say that their father isn't. Well, he's slightly unhinged for reasons that will be explained in the comic eventually. But that's certainly not an excuse for why he's abusive, and it doesn't mean that just because you're unhinged you can be abusive. But yeah. Let's see. Relationships, pronouns.
Also, as far as relationships go, I feel like as far as the others in the murder, they definitely treat him with much more respect than, say they do with Apollo. Because of the fact he is the Cormac heir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he isn't a white crow, he's a standard crow, which, yeah, definitely. He's definitely treated with more respect. And children with abusive parents may not welcome their parents being described as abusive because they still love them and even make excuses for them. Yep. And these two are definitely examples of that as well. So that's a good point, Michael. Let's see. As for romantic relationships, Cormac's 13. So, I mean, I guess there are kids at 13 who have had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but Cormac hasn't. They've kind of moved too often for that. That being said, he's not opposed to the idea of a relationship. Assuming he can ever find someone he thinks would accept him for all that he is. And who wouldn't treat his brother like crap. Because that is one thing he doesn't like about the murder is how they treat his brother. Let's see. Might have had crushes at least. Yeah, no, yeah. Cormac's had a couple of crushes, definitely. Just nothing's ever come of them. Either they've moved before anything could have, or Cormac hasn't felt comfortable approaching them for one reason or another.
Also, I feel like he's probably had crushes of both genders, just kind of looking at them, just not really worrying so much about the gender, though he does worry about it when it comes to his father.
Oh yeah. His father would not approve of his son bringing home a boy. Who would be the positive role models or heroes that Cormac and Apollo have had? I would think their uncle would be considered a positive role model. Their uncle very much accepts them for who they are. Not that their uncle knows about that Cormac's gender fluid. He does know that Apollo is non-binary, because he was there for that. And he was and is fairly supportive of it when their father is around. But and he's where they get they know that it should be okay for them to be who they are. If they were anywhere else, basically. And it's definitely his influence that have given them what self-esteem they've managed to retain, basically. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say something.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah. So because Apollo and Cormac have moved around a lot, those of you who haven't moved around a lot, you might not know this, but people who have tend to be a little more insular. They tend to keep to themselves a little more. A lot of them tend to have some social anxieties that can prevent them from making the first move towards friendships or relationships or anything of the sort. And while I wouldn't say that that's crippling in either of them, it is definitely something we have taken into consideration when crafting both Cormac and Apollo into people. And Cormac is definitely on the quieter end of the spectrum when introduced to a new group of people, whereas Apollo tends to go grumpy and kind of bullying.
Well, with certain people. Other times he can be very,
Oh, he can be quite charming.
Yes.
Of course, that charming kind of comes off as slimy. I'm getting no response. This means I'm correct.
It really depends because he is a theater nerd.
He is a theater nerd.
So he is an actor.
He just doesn't know how to be charming. He takes his cue from his father, who is very slimy.
Yeah, he is.
So there's that to keep in mind. Since they are in school, what are the extracurriculars they are interested in? Well, as just mentioned, Apollo likes theater. He's very much a theater kid. As for Cormac, what do you think, Ty? What is Cormac's extracurriculars?
You do this to me on purpose. Mostly, I feel like while he would like to do more extracurricular, I can't talk.
Curricular activities.
They would mostly center around like artistic things, but it's harder for him because that's not something his father would be too happy about. While his brother is allowed to while his brother is allowed to be in theater, and have those sort of artistic things, he has to look more like a pillar of strength in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Or the future pillar of strength in the family.
Yeah.
As far as if they have home ec classes or shop,
it depends on the school they're at.
However,
again, not all schools have it.
If they did, he would want to take home ec over shop, but he probably wouldn't take either.
Oh, okay.
Are you kidding? Why would the Corbeau do manual labor?
That's fair. That's fair. I see him liking home ec dance.
He likes the same artsy stuff as his brother, but he's not allowed
Yeah.
to, technically.
No, yeah. If as for sports, I think he is on the track team.
Yeah.
It's something he can do that keeps him in shape. It appears manly, and it doesn't require him to be in a locker full of boys 3 times his size and get tackled on a field that might break his bones. Because like most crows, he is tall and slender. And they don't put on muscle well.
No, they don't.
So, yeah, they generally tend to stay away from the more contact sports. I do like that shirt, Ty. I like what you're doing with it.
Yeah. I wanted something cute, and it just wasn't quite looking right, so...
See why he likes it. I want that shirt. It is very cute.
Oh no. I've made mistakes.
Uh-oh.
Ah!
Well, let's see. Sorry, gotta get back to my brief outline so that I know what I'm talking about next. Let's see. Past relationships. Fears. He does have a couple. And they all kind of center around his father. And his family, basically. He's afraid of his father discovering that he's gender fluid and what that would mean for him. He's very certain that he would get kicked out of the pack or the murder, or he would be disowned, or which is another of his fears, being disowned.
Hello, little Dominator. Yeah, I do that all the time. It's so frustrating. I will many a times, at least once every stream, I'll sit there and be like, hey, this is fine. Click. Oh no. And I gotta wait a couple seconds because it's an 8,000 by 8,000 picture. But yes, continue. I'm sorry.
Occasionally I'll be sitting on this side of the room and I'll just hear him start cursing at the computer because he's done it like 8 times in a row.
I've done it like working on the comic. I'll sit there and be like, no, son of a... Fuck!
Yep. And I'll just be quietly laughing over here. Quietly because I understand that he's stressed and I shouldn't be laughing. But listening to him is hilarious. Also, yes, ballets, the crows and ballets might be fun. That would be fun, yeah. Yeah. Not that Cormac can take lessons in it because his father would not let him. That is not something the future Corbeau would be doing. Which is a shame because I think he'd have been good at it.
Yeah.
I like the sock stockings, says Michael.
Yeah, I love drawing stuff like this. They're so cute.
They are very cute. Okay, so we were talking about his fears, disowned, father discovering he's gender fluid, which is why he keeps it very locked up and undercover. He's also afraid of losing his brother. Not like his brother dying or anything, but of his brother being disowned and cast out of the murder. which it always seems like his brother is on the verge of having that done. And he is terrified of it actually happening one day. A lot of football players take ballet. Yes, they do. But we're talking about the mindset of an abusive asshole who often thinks that ballet is for sissies.
Or women. I said or women.
Huh? Or, yeah. Neither of which will be his son. I don't know if you could hear my eye roll, but I did roll my eyes. But yes, we do know that football players, a lot of them take ballet to help with their balance and everything. But Cormac's father wouldn't see it that way. So yeah, those are his 3 main fears, all of which pretty much center around their father. That being said, he believes that his father is taking care. You heard the eye roll. Good. Cormac does believe that his father is doing what's best for the murder in general. Even if that's not what's best for Cormac or his brother. I wonder what arguments he, she, they might have attempted. Oh, he didn't. When you're afraid that any hint that you are anything but the ideal heir might get you disowned, you don't argue. You just do what you're told. Or worse than disowned, because he saw what happened to his brother. Well, he didn't see it, and Apollo doesn't really talk about it, but his brother did come out of that week different, and he is not keen on whatever it is happening to him as well.
And Apollo is not keen on it happening to him.
Nope. So it's not an argument that happens. Or something that's even brought up. Well, this is one of the saddest things that the kids internalize and self-censor. They do. It is. It really is. And they do. And this is one of the things that makes this very much an 18-plus comic. Not necessarily the violence and future possible sexual content, which won't be until very far in the future and might not be that explicit. It's our attempt to be realistic about abuse and the trauma that it can leave behind, does leave behind, and just our use of trauma in general, because it's not just these kids that are traumatized; they're just the only ones that have it because of abuse. And there are a lot of people who are very sensitive to things like that, and when we get to parts where that becomes relevant, we will of course add our
trigger warnings and stuff like that,
so that people know to practice their self-care. Do the themes you are writing ever cause you such an intense emotional reaction that you have to walk away from the comic for a bit? We haven't gotten to a part where we actually have to write it out, though we have outlined quite a bit into the future, as you can kind of tell, but we haven't actually written it yet, although I expect they will, yes. We both tend to write things that make us feel.
Yeah, many times we've written something that has been sad and I've just sobbed. I have feelings and emotions.
So it's very possible that that will happen again as we delve deeper into this comic and Cormac and Apollo and what's happening to them and with them and things like that. But as of yet, in this comic, no. But yeah, good question.
Because one of the things about it is, um, while we are going to have these characters that have these traumas and stuff, we don't want to focus on the abuse itself. Um,
No,
we want to focus on the healing. And that's what you're going to
we
see
do.
with these characters is you're not going to see so much of the abuse. You might hear it in little off comments or of the characters talking about their past to somebody else in the comic.
Mhm.
However, you're not going to, unless we write a short about it, you're not going to see the abuse because we don't want to use trauma just for the sake of trauma.
Mm-mm.
Um, it's a way to build up our characters. It's a way to give them this hopefully more three-dimensional feeling and maybe even have characters that people can identify with in more than just the
Yeah.
sense of, oh, this character is gay or oh, this character is
Yeah.
trans.
Yeah.
We want to have real life experiences that people can identify with and be like, oh, this character's kind of like me. I appreciate this, that sort of thing. It's also why we have our characters' sexuality and gender are not a just, oh, this is the gay character. It's, here's this character, this is what they're like. They just happen to be gay. And
Yeah.
it's not, it's like Hayden is, the main character is trans. One of the main characters is trans. However, that's not his character. He's not, it's not even, in fact, it's not even mentioned for a good while.
Oh, not for a while.
People, and like, it's not that people won't know, it's just that it doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, you will see the effects of the trauma, but not the trauma itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But a part of this is also that we gave their father children, and they do show up fairly early on in the comic, like within the first couple of chapters, so that they are like fairly relevant. But when we created his character and we decided that he had kids, we knew that he would be an abusive father, which means that his kids would be abused and they would have trauma from it. So it's not like we created characters because we wanted to have abused children.
right.
No, but we created this family, and then when we were creating the father, he turned into a man who would be abusive, which made us alter his children a bit to mirror that effect.
For instance, actually going back to Apollo a bit, before we actually designed Cormac, we only had Apollo as one of his children, and Apollo was a, excuse my phrase, Apollo was a douchebag. He was
Yeah.
cocky. The first time you see him, he's demeaning. He doesn't care about other people,
doesn't.
other than, his people. Uh, but as we started writing it, we got more into his father's character. We realized it's a front for his own trauma because that is one of the ways that people who have been abused will go. Cormac is a little different. He doesn't do the over-the-top, showy, douchebaggy sort of facade because he hasn't. His abuse is slightly different than his brother's.
Yeah, he's being forced into the mold of your stereotypical toxic masculinity, and he is as far from that in his gender identity as you can get, and yet he's still being forced to embrace it, basically. I think that's a good explanation of what his form of abuse is.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's our very long spiel about how we're dealing with trauma.
And abuse. And all that stuff.
Um,
And again,
yeah.
when this comes up in the comic, we will have warnings and stuff like that because we don't want to upset our readers.
Yeah.
Um,
But again, we're also not going to do it. We're not going to do violence or abuse for the sake of violence or abuse.
yes.
And anything we do show will have relevance for the plot, and only be there so long as it is necessary for the plot to continue.
It'll be mentioned for maybe not so much plot, but character development.
Yeah.
Like in Apollo and Cormac's case.
Yeah, and then we will focus on healing more than the actual event itself. Because healing is an important part of dealing with trauma that so many people just overlook. And I cannot tell you how many times I've read a book and a character has gone through trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma and never gotten any help and have supposedly never had any side effects. And Ty's heard me listen to this, had to listen to this rant for so many times, but I am so angry because I know this person would need help to deal with trauma, and they would be so messed up from it.
Okay, but I feel that all too well, especially because I am a huge fan of My Hero Academia, which is a really good anime, and there is a character, his name is Bakugo, who has gone through so many traumas in less than a year.
Yeah.
Even at the hands of of heroes who are supposed to be, not causing this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And people wonder why he is, well, as the fan base jokes, he's an angry Pomeranian.
Yeah. But people underestimate the fact that we need to be able to talk about it, and we need to have a healing process because we're not going to be okay. Part of this is us trying to show that getting help is a normal part of the process and should be normalized.
You are not weak for getting help. You are not weak for asking for help. That's something that a lot of people have a problem with, is feeling like they can't ask for help because then they will be viewed as weak, and that is not the case, and people need to understand that.
Yep. One of the things I really enjoyed about Avengers Endgame, The Falcon, The Winter Soldier, and WandaVision is that people who have experienced trauma have effects, and they deal with therapy to one degree or another. Maybe appreciated is a better word than enjoyed. Yeah. The new Marvel movies have been doing a pretty good job about showing that it's a normal part of going through something so traumatic.
And also even showing things like PTSD, and anxiety and stuff like that. If you look at, I believe it was Iron Man 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It was 2.
Yeah, with panic attacks.
Yeah.
Toxic Crow Daddy isn't going to want his kid asking for help. Exactly.
No, he's not. Because that would be saying that his father had done something wrong in raising them. And he doesn't feel like he's done anything wrong. He feels like he's been the perfect father. Even though this is not how he was raised. Maybe some of the maybe some of the views of, like, this isn't masculine, da-da-da-da. However, his parents did not take it to the extent that he does.
No, he doesn't. And counseling doesn't magically fix things either. No, they don't. It's a long process which takes time and commitment.
Counseling is just one part of it. There's also possible medication, stuff like that, and time.
Yeah. Definitely. And we will not be showing it as a magic cure-all either, because it isn't.
Did your phone just go off during a stream?
Yep. Okay.
How dare you?
I was not expecting my phone to go off. I didn't think my volume was on either, but apparently it is.
I'm teasing anyways.
Um. But yeah. Let's see. Fears. And we had a tangent. Necessary tangent, but a tangent. Let's see. This is usually where we talk about any inspirations we've had for the character. But as far as we know, Cormac doesn't really have any specific inspirations. Like, we created this character from scratch, without any vision of who he might be based on, or aspects we liked from other things. And as of yet, he doesn't really resemble anyone we've seen, heard, or read in any media. As far as we know.
Yeah. Now, that might change along the way, however, because we also haven't been able to write his character. We have some of his personality, but we don't know.
Yeah. We don't know.
Speaking of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Falcon got in big trouble for not having his phone on silent.
Cool. Okay.
I love you.
Uh-huh. Sure you do.
Oh, that's fine.
Let's see. What are we most excited about in the live stream?
You mean in the comic for him?
Yep, the comic for him. You go first.
Honestly, I'm just excited to actually get to write him and show his interactions with his brother and his uncle and his sister, and just actually get to show him in stuff. I feel like he's going to be a very sweet kid, honestly. I mean, don't get me wrong. You after he's allowed to, you mess with his brother and you might get punched. For all it's not going to be the strongest of punches.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still I'm looking forward to getting to write him, and honestly, I'm getting forward to being able to draw him in various outfits, because I get to draw a boy in a skirt and nobody can stop me. And he is absolutely adorable.
He is so adorable. Like, we've really only been able to, like, talk about him in very vague future terms. We have his character figured out mostly. And we've got a lot of little things that build itself up into a character, but being able to bring that to life, so to speak, is definitely one of the things I'm looking forward to most. And again, just like Apollo, seeing him, them, open up and blossom into the character that you're seeing on your screen, it is definitely one of the things I'm looking forward to most.
Yeah.
And again, that's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, but with the right help, with enough support, that it's definitely something that is in his future.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Get my outline back again.
I believe we are now to talk about crow dynamics.
Is it easier to keep someone else's secrets than one's own? What sorts of effects are there for a kid to keep several secrets from their parents? Well, I mean, I don't know about any of you, but I kept a lot of secrets from my parents when I was a kid.
Oh, I did too.
I mean, none of them were as earth-shattering as, well, anything. And my parents weren't.
That pause.
Sorry. They weren't like physically or verbally abusive. They were kind of neglectful, I suppose, in some ways. But like, if I had been gender fluid or non-binary or trans, I wouldn't have been disowned or kicked out of the house or anything like that. So none of the secrets I kept were earth-shattering, but I did keep several secrets from my parents.
I kept a secret so long
and...
that... Sorry. Go ahead.
But, so, I mean, it's generally a normal thing for a lot of kids. And, you know, unless a parent is looking for a specific thing, or they're the kind of parent that goes snooping for, like, your diary to see, or your phone to make sure you're not talking to people you shouldn't be talking to, or reading things you shouldn't be reading, or, you know, one of those parents. It's not impossible to keep a secret from your parent. And for all that their father and mother are not good parents, they don't really strike me as the kind that goes snooping through their children's stuff.
No.
They have more important things to do, first of all.
On the subject of kids keeping secrets, I kept a secret from the time I was in high school until I was 31 that I used to smoke, and I had stolen packs of cigarettes from my dad. I kept that secret from my dad for that many years until I bought him a pack of cigarettes, and as a joke, I was like, it's okay, we'll just count it as me paying you back for the cigarettes I stole. That took him back quite a bit. He just looked at me and goes, what? And I was like, yep. I can't get in trouble now. I'm a full-ass adult. Can't grab me now. I was not a good liar when I was a kid. I kept my sister's secrets.
Now, my brother kept that secret for a while before it came out.
Also, yeah, Apollo, it's not hard for him to keep secrets from his dad, especially after he tried to come out, and then seeing his little brother the way he is, he would be able to keep the secrets, if anything, out of fear and wanting to protect his brother.
Yep. Yeah. He is, for all that Apollo has his flaws, he cares about his siblings very strongly. Yeah. But yeah, yes. As to your earlier point, yes, we are ready to talk about crow dynamics. So, if any of you watching, any of you five, have any questions about crow shifters in general, or anything I'm about to share with you, feel free to ask in the chat. We are obviously paying attention to it. If you've got any comments to share, feel free to share those too. We'd love to hear from you.
Including on character design, because I like to talk about character design.
Oh yeah, yeah. Ask your questions about character design. I can't answer those, but, you know, Ty can.
I can. I love my babies.
So, I will be talking about these in a general sort of way, except for when I need to use actual names for something, which I shouldn't. For the most part. So, in our first live stream, we talked about wolf shifter dynamics and how things work there. So if you're curious about that, you can go back to our first live stream and, was it our first live stream?
No, it was during,
no, it was our second.
It was during
Zeke's.
Zeke's. Which is technically
so
our third.
Right, right. So, you can go back and check Zeke's live stream towards it's somewhere in there to get the information on wolf shifter dynamics. Live birth or eggs?
They're live birth.
They are live birth.
They're not eggs.
Because they have a human form.
Michael asking the rest questions here. Right, so. That is, yep.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, they do give live birth. Because they're one of their forms is human. I mean, I suppose if a shifter attempted to spend their entire pregnancy in crow form, and I do mean their entire.
So would the baby be born as a crow and never know it was a shifter until it accidentally shifted into a human baby?
Maybe.
Oh god! Imagine how big the eggs would be if they did the eggs.
I just realized that I was watching on Facebook and couldn't see the chat function. I can't wait to find out more about this world and these characters. Ah, yes. They are good characters. Hi, Perry. And hi again, Tumpy. We never said hi to you. So hi.
Also, oh my god. A fucking egg big enough to crack open and have a baby. A full-grown baby. Just, no. Oh god. It's bigger than an ostrich egg.
I'm sorry. Pushing out a baby is hard enough. No.
I'm dying. Oh god.
But yeah, no. They mostly give live birth because hospitals are a thing. Next on Jerry Springer, a crow who recently discovered they were a shifter. That's great. That's great.
Oh god. Okay. I'm okay. Oh fuck. Thank you. Thank you all for that. That was amazing.
But yeah, no, they do spend most of their pregnancy as humans. It's a little more comfortable for them than, though there have been some who have gone through it in bird form. But, you know, these days there are hospitals, and there aren't a lot of people who know how to deal with a pregnant crow. This is Max from work, by the way. Oh! Max! Hi! Cool. Yeah, I know you.
Oh god, twins in an egg would be horrifying. Also, do I know Max?
Yeah. I'll talk to you about it later. But yeah, he was at work with us, yeah.
Okay.
There's a comic about Raised by Wolves where the wolves took offense at the phrase. What, Raised by Wolves? Also, do they ever show bird-like personality traits?
I want to say yes, but that's me.
Yes. Yeah, they do. Like, if you want to distract a crow shifter, throw something shiny.
Show them something shiny. Just, they do also, they do have a habit, some of them do have a habit of collecting things.
Uh-huh. They do.
Oh no, apparently YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. No!
Oh no! I'm so sorry, guys. Sorry about the buffering. That's going to be absolutely horrible for you.
I'm so sorry. How do I fix this?
Let us know when it starts, and we will, attempt to make sure that we've got time between things so that we're never too far ahead of where you guys are. Well, not necessarily that, but like that we're not ending things before we're making sure we've got you all here. That's a more accurate representation.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, there it goes. Okay. Apparently, video is still great and smooth for Perry. Okay.
okay.
I want to do something with his hair, like color streaks. Like, well, I'd have to do it as white, but I don't.
Hmm.
Wait, let's turn my stabilization up. That might help. Yes, I make noises when I draw.
He does, and it's the best thing ever. And it's not been buffering for Max either, so that's
Okay.
good.
I just realized something.
Also, I don't know if I ever answered the little Dominator. Yes, twins in an egg would be absolutely horrifying.
That would be horrifying. I was trying not to lose it once again. Thank you. Um.
So yes, that it would be absolutely horrifying. Um, yes, white streaks, says Perry. Um, let's see. Ever show bird? Okay, yeah, we answered that. Yeah, they definitely do show so certain bird-like personality traits.
Like collecting
There's
random
also
shit.
there's also if you hurt them or they're murdered, they are very likely and prone to taking immediate vengeance. So it's best not to piss off crows.
I know revengeance is a word, but it just doesn't sound right.
Huh?
It,
No, revengeance is not a word. I started trying to say
Okay.
revenge, and then I changed it to vengeance.
okay.
Revengeance is not a word.
Good, because that was a moment.
Alright, so yeah, if you've got any other questions, keep them coming. Any other comments, keep those coming too. We love interacting with y'all. It's great. As for crow dynamics, so we've talked about the Corbeau, which is the leader of a murder, which again is a group of crows. And that they're the head of it. They are the only one at. Love silly word combos sometimes. Yes, sometimes they come out with the weirdest things. But yes, thank you, Michael.
Okay, in my defense, Revengeance was also like the title of a video game.
Ugh.
Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, I believe.
Oh, that
Oh,
would
thank
make
you,
me...
Fairy.
I'm sorry if you guys hear yelling. That is our cat, apparently demanding attention. Like,
of course. Anytime I'm
apocalypse
fucking live streaming, he does this.
becomes apocalyptic. Someone who gets angry like it is the end of the world. Yep. Yeah, that's fun. So the leader of a murder is the Corbeau. And while they are the only one at the top, unlike the wolf shifters who have the beta and delta to help them carry the weight, the Corbeau doesn't. They are the head. They also murders aren't generally as big as packs. However, there tends to be maybe between 12 and 25 people in a murder, whereas packs can have anywhere from like 30 to 60, depending on the pack and where they're located and things like that. The Corbeau does usually have a mate, and their job is to have children, raise children, basically take care of anything that the Corbeau needs them to. So I suppose they may count as the Corbeau's second, in some ways. I'm definitely incorporating that into my vocabulary. Let's see. There is the... Oh, give me a second, guys. I apparently forgot to bring up a document, which would make this a
Did
lot
you
easier on my
close it?
explanations.
You had
Nope.
it open.
I had opened the list, but not what it meant.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just as important as the list.
If not more so.
But that's okay because I know exactly where to find it, and all I have to do is pull it up there. Is that that is the one I wanted? And that can go there. Sorry, excuse me.
What, honey? Is Auntie not paying attention to you? Yeah.
So next we have the Crowquill, which is their lore master. It's basically the Crowquill's job to make sure that they're up to date on the various shifter races and the various magical creatures in the world, that they're up to date on the local laws and regulations in wherever they are, so that they're not breaking any rules or laws. They are generally brought in to help with negotiations with another shifter group when necessary, and they're called upon when they may be going to war or issuing a challenge or something of the like. So basically, it's their version of Ariel. Does this character have any hobbies?
Oh my goodness. Brain just turned off. Thank you for that, brain.
A lot of his time is spent training to be the next Corbeau. He isn't given a lot of time for hobbies, but the few he does have are generally art oriented. He really likes music, I think. He can usually be seen with some sort of sketch pad in hand when he thinks his father won't see what he's doing and get angry about it. He would like to also dance, but that's definitely something his father would not approve of, and while he can do what he can on his own, it's a lot harder to hide that than some of the other things he'd like to do. So I may have missed this.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to read the question. Go ahead.
Okay, I may have missed this earlier in the stream, but what 3 things or values would you say Cormac holds dearest? Definitely his siblings.
His siblings. Honestly, his hidden wardrobe, because it's something that makes him feel comfortable. His hidden wardrobe being the clothes that Apollo bought him.
Yep. Who probably hides them in his room, so even if they're discovered, it won't get back to Cormac.
Yeah. And other than that, I would say, honestly, one of his biggest values is the idea of, because he's met friends and stuff like that who have proper family dynamics and has seen what a healthy family is like, and that's what he wants the most. That's what he strives for, and what he hopes to have when he becomes the Corbeau. He hopes to not have what his father had.
Yeah. So yeah, good question, Perry. Thanks for that. Also in the murder we have the Gavloks. I was telling Kirby about the different shifters, and he would like to know if there's going to be a gaggle of geese shifters who are the true antagonists.
Oh god, I love it!
antagonists, even if there are geese shifters.
Can you imagine a Canadian goose shifter? Just this big angry bird who will fucking chase you down. They don't fight in their human form, they fight in their bird form.
For good reason. There may be geese shifters, because I don't think they technically count as prey. And and trying to fight a goose is horrifying. So, while there are probably geese shifters, they are not the true antagonists of Children of Anima. And there are few herbivore shifters, but basically prey animals. Most of them went extinct long ago. But geese are very vicious, and I don't think they're true herbivores. I think geese eat fish, just like swans, which would, yes, be terrifying and beautiful and vicious, Perry. Thank you. Yeah. That's horrifying.
Because I needed that mental image.
Do the clans, probably the wrong terminology, have any sayings or creeds that typifies their outlook or ideology, i.e. Lannisters always pay their debts? It varies from race to race and group to group. For instance, the Graham Pack, one of their biggest beliefs or creeds is that you don't have to be pack to be family. So some of them do, yeah. A lot of them do, yes. It'd take forever to try and talk about all of them here. But as they become relevant, we will certainly share those with people reading the comic and with the rest of the fan base so that everyone can know it. But yeah, good question. Thanks for that. I appreciate that these characters feel real because when I read Perry's question, I knew the first answer would be his siblings. Yes.
Aww.
That's good, yeah. Seen a fun take on the Swan Woman fairy tale where it was pointed out that swans are rather aggressive birds. Yes, they are horrifying.
Everything is prey to Canadian geese.
I always knew Swan Lake was lacking fight scenes to give it that essential truth.
So I feel like a goose shifter would just be like the 5-foot fight me. They're small, but
Yep.
don't piss them off.
Oh, right. As someone tries to take a swan's feathers, and a flock of swans appeared at the guy who stole them. I thought the family sayings in Game of Thrones were a very cool part of it. Yes. So did I, actually. That they were very interesting.
I've never seen Game of Thrones.
Yes, Ty's never seen Game of Thrones, so we'll avoid any spoilers.
I don't care about spoilers.
Part of it, so yeah. Anyway, but yeah, they a lot of them do have certain creeds that they follow, and as certain packs or groups become relevant, we will be sharing that. Leader, lore master. Crows also have a Gavlock or Gavlock, which are their warriors, and they fight very differently than a lot of the 4-footed big shifters do because they're small and they're quick, so they can't, and they're generally not as strong. So they're definitely better suited to quick attacks.
They also have a habit of trying to use their opponent's strength against them.
Yep, they do, which is good because they're not that strong.
Yeah.
You were going somewhere.
I had something and then it was gone.
Their style of fighting requires brain over brawn, technique over strength, so- and speed. Definitely is a big part of it.
They are dex
In and out,
based.
in and out. Hey. Sorry, what did you say?
I said they are dex based.
Ah.
If you want to go D&D terms.
Uh-huh.
What? I'm a nerd and you know this.
I do know it. I am also a huge nerd. Let's see. And then we've got... So unlike the pack, which again we talked about in Zeke's live stream, so I'm not going to get too deeply into it. The pack has... Every member of the pack has some sort of job or duty that they do to help keep the pack strong, as well as having a job that helps support it. That's not so with murders. Not everyone has a role that they are assigned to do. Those that don't have any other role are called rooks. They're just a member of the murder. And while they are expected to help support the murder, like with whatever job they've got, which is hard to keep when you're moving around all the time. They're just normal people with normal jobs who are part of a murder. The white in the hair looks amazing, says Perry.
Thank you very much, Perry.
Michael says, say that with pride, quoting Sydney Scoville from Girl Power, I am a nerd. Yep. It's not something to apologize for.
Why did I do that? That's white.
Their children are called chicks. Kind of standard. Most of our shifter groups will be calling their children whatever their animal part children is called, for ease of things. And then if a murder has a wizard part of it, their wizards are called Moonin, which some of you may understand as a Norse reference. Moonin was one of the crows of Thor. Oh, hey, do you want to link your favorite or inspirational webcomics or comics with similar themes?
I actually do have a webcomic that is kind of what inspired me to want something like this. And I can't find it off the... I'm not going to find it right... Oh, no, I could probably look it up while you guys are talking, because I'm almost done with the picture.
Well, and if he can't find it right now, we can always paste it to the Facebook page after. As for me, I unfortunately can't, because every time I seem to become interested in a webcomic that I really like, they get canceled for one reason or another. So, yeah. It's kind of sad, because they're not only canceled, they're also taken down. Although, I think one of the ones that are still up, I'm not sure where I can find the link, but I can post it to the Facebook page later. It's called Princess, and it's basically about this girl, kind of a young girl, maybe about 10ish, who is going through a transition. Like she is trans, and she comes out to her mother that she is a girl, and her mother immediately accepts that and starts helping her with the transition. And she's wearing dresses and calling herself a girl and calling herself by her preferred name, and it goes through. They're kind of short comics, and they it goes through some of the things that she has to deal with as a young child attempting to transition. And I can definitely find the link later, because I actually probably have to go talk to my mom about it and get the link from her, because it's been a while since I tried to read it. But I find that very inspirational myself. So, yeah. Also, those of you currently watching now and in the future, if you guys have any webcomics that you find inspirational or are your favorite, we would love to hear from you.
Yes,
Like,
give me more things to read.
Post links in the Children of Anima group. And Ty will read them, and I will attempt to read them, and hope they're not canceled because I'm reading them.
Maybe don't share them with Tarly. They might get canceled.
No, share the completed ones with me, because then it won't matter.
Why you not open? Oh, because I didn't select it. That's why.
Also, if there is one thing you should never call a crow unless you want to be challenged on the spot and probably murdered, it's Corby. That's about the worst word you can call a crow. And if you ever see it in the comic, you now know that it is a very bad racial slur. So, yeah. And that is the crow dynamics. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that.
How dare you?
Oh, one thing that isn't. Sorry, I forgot to mention one because it wasn't in this list. It was in this one. The crows also have something called a salutory, which is something the packs and most shifter groups actually have. It's called a salutory, which is basically their healer. They're not necessarily doctors. They just supported on Patreon. You have me hooked on your world already. Thank you, Perry.
Oh, Perry, thank you.
There are several pages currently available.
There will be 2 pages going up after the live stream. I meant to put them up earlier, but we got a slow start because I was tired. But there will be 2 more pages coming up today.
Kind of late, so yeah, and those will the pages going up today are patron exclusive. They'll go up free to view for everyone next week. So thanks for joining us, Perry. But a salutory is, they're not necessarily doctors, though some of them have gone to med school to become doctors. But they mainly work with herbs and healing techniques that have been passed down for generations that work really good on shifters. The ones who are more insular and prefer to avoid hospitals, they tend to be like, for the wolf packs. Wolf packs tend to have home births, and their salutory tends to be equipped with being a midwife. For ravens, they're not quite so.
Well, ravens and crows.
For crows.
For
crows.
corvids. For corvids in general.
Corvids aren't so hidden from the world as wolves, I guess. They tend to give their birth in hospitals because it's more comfortable. And yeah,
pain meds.
And pain meds. But they tend to their support is definitely more herbal, and technique oriented. A lot of them have experience with massage and acupuncture and the less modern medical expertise, as it is, I don't want to say old world expertise, but things that used to be very common but fell out of practice, and we're now realizing is, hey, wait, a lot of this was actually really good. It's something that a lot of the shifter groups still do and have been doing forever. And that's what the Salutary do. And that is everyone in the dynamics. Now, their training. So we mentioned briefly that in the pack, a child is tapped at age 13 to begin training in a particular wolf job, like
Pack position
that they'll be doing or be pulled into. The murder children of a murder, or Corvids in general. Look. You know how many times I have said that, clarified that a murder is a group of crows in every
yes, it's so great.
Crow live stream we've done. It's exactly because I have these statements and then I have to clarify these statements. Okay. Now, Corvids will tap children at about 6 or 7 for particular positions. And again, not every child gets tapped, because not every crow is required to have a pack position. And some children, when they get older and they want to have a pack position, can begin training in that position. Or murder position. Sorry, we're talking about crows, not pack. So Cormac, because he is the Corbeau heir, actually began his training around 3 or 4. So, about the time when he could begin to string sentences together. And of course, back then it was fairly easy stuff, but over the years it's gotten harder and more complicated and such and so that by the time anything happens to his father or his father steps down, he can be ready to take over. And considering his father's in his 50s, not that that's too old, and crows do tend to live healthier, stronger, fuller lives than a lot of humans, so there's that. So yeah, they start their training around 6 or 7 as a general rule, although some start later and some have started earlier for one reason or another. Have you guys got any further questions for us? Because that's all I have prepared.
Only bit of color on this. Boop. Also, that's something that we haven't mentioned. Something that will probably be the only thing that is in color when he shows up in the comic is that he has a button, or will have a button, that basically
Eventually.
He has 3 different buttons. Eventually. That basically will signify what pronoun he feels like going by that day. He'll have a pink one for when he's feeling more feminine, a blue one for when he's feeling more masculine, and a white one for when he's not feeling necessarily one or the other and rather go by they, them that day.
Looking forward to next week's. Yep, that's good, Michael. Oh, a few announcements before we end. And again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in. We'll answer them. That's what we're here for. But a couple of announcements. First of all, we officially announced our charity live stream on Tuesday. This charity live stream will be June 12th, and all proceeds, you're not buying anything, but all donations will go to PFLAG, which is Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, which is the nation's largest gay, lesbian, trans, bisexual, non-binary organization in the nation. Currently, they're attempting to, well, they are fighting anti-trans bills across the nation.
I did it again. No, I fucked up. I did it again. Every time.
Okay. Across the nation. So yeah, that's currently what they're currently fighting. In general, they advocate for equal rights or equality between the LGBT community and everyone else. They believe that we have just as much right to everything as any straight person does, which, yes, I completely agree. And they and as June is Pride Month here where we are, we wanted to support them with the charity live stream. So there is an event in the Little Red Productions Facebook page, which you can go check out, see if you want to check out the information. And that's where we will be posting any updates about the live stream. So check it out. We hope to see you there. Also, I feel like this is a good time to announce about why we're drawing all of these characters and all of the ones that we're not doing showcases for. June 1st, so in about 2 weeks, Little Red Productions is opening up a store, an online store, which will have a variety of merch. A lot of it will be Children of Anima oriented, since it's the only thing currently being published. Each of these characters that we are currently showcasing will be available on the store for t-shirts and a variety of other things. So should you feel attached to one or the other, and you want to, you can purchase something.
Also, we will have logos from Little Red that will be in various Pride flags. Basically, everything in the shop will be Pride related for the month of June. With maybe like the normal Little Red Productions logo for stickers or whatever. But yeah.
So those are our two big announcements. And with us being about 2 weeks from June, now's the time we announce them. So yeah, thank you all for coming in. It was a great conversation with you all. You had some fantastic questions and points of view that we thank you for sharing with us, because they were great.
I was so happy to hear from you guys and actually interact with people. We have Michael here a lot of times, but it was great to see more of you, and I would love to see you again next week.
Yeah, because
next week is Hayden.
Yeah.
Yay! My baby boy. Sorry. I really love him.
Yep. Hayden next week, and then our final one will be the week after, which is Trinity. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Perry. Yes. But yes, next week is Hayden, and the week after that is Trinity, which will be the final of the character showcases. After that, we might not stream for a bit. We're gonna be getting ready for the big live stream. I think we have one more stream planned for June. Other than that,
yeah, well, we do currently have one more stream planned for June. That's probably where we'll talk about all the magic questions that Michael has asked. So if you've got any questions about how we treat magic in the world, anything we don't answer in next week's stream, feel free to drop us a line, and we'll be happy to ask them. It's apparently midnight where Perry is.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Perry, for staying up so late. I will definitely see you next week. I look forward to it.
And go sleep. We
Go,
are done
go
here.
sleep. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I think that's gonna be it. And
Yeah.
we will see you guys next week. It was great talking to you. You guys have a good day and stay safe. Bye.
Bye.